Can you hear me good? But I can't because your mic is off.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. Okay. Let's try it again. I'll set the Instagram. It seems like we are live. I'll just turn off the volume on Facebook. I hope everybody can see me and hear me good. We're streaming to Instagram as well, but only myself. We would like to invite you to be with us on the Way Showers Talk with none other than Mensur Pudic on live Zoom, where you can ask questions. Mensur, very, very welcome to the Way Showers Talk. How are you keeping, my friend?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Pleasure to see you. Pleasure to meet you. I'll just remind our Instagram followers to either direct message me word Zoom or come see us on our Facebook page. I'm very pleased to have you as a guest. I know I'm repeating myself, but I don't take anything for granted, and I absolutely admire the idea that I heard a couple of years back. Great minds don't compete; great minds collaborate, right? Which I truly believe in. I'll introduce a small bit our special guest, and then I'll have him take over the talk. Mensur Pudic is originally from Bosnia, which is only a couple of countries below myself. I am from Slovakia, currently living in Slovakia. Mensur was born in Bosnia in 1986 and experienced something that none of us wants to experience in their life, which was a war at very young age, at the age of 8. As a refugee, he came to the United States with his family. He spoke no English and didn't have any idea what life would be like an ocean away from the only home he ever known. I absolutely admire you, brother, because I was economical migrant myself in 3 countries in the world, but thank God, so far I haven't experienced your experiences, although there is a war going on just in my neighboring country in Ukraine at the moment. That must have been really tough experience for yourself at such a young age, 8 years of age.
You know, it's one of the toughest experience that I had to endure as a young child in my life, and it definitely impacted of who I am today, and molded me into the person, the motivator, the person who wants to inspire the world. So bad as it was, we have to be grateful, and we have to look into the future of what is it that we want to create.
Absolutely. I admire your way of looking at life. And I know about yourself that you are national powerlifting champion. Am I right or am I wrong?
So I competed here in the United States nationally, which I went to several states to compete in powerlifting. And let me tell you, that was an epic journey in itself. Got into it without knowing what to expect. But, that's part of having goals and having the thrill and living and learning through the experience, so to say.
What, Mensur, did you gain by coming from the situation in early age that you did? What it gave you on your journey forward?
It gave me urgency to act quickly. We all have these goals, we have ambition, and we have drive. Too many people are stuck thinking, we need to do and take action in order to get results. And that's one of the things that, when I think back or when I look back, it's, people died so I could live. And the opportunity of being alive, just that in itself is a blessing. And it's something that is always with me, on my mind, in my heart. And it's something that keeps me going every single day. And, that's just part of me.
That's beautiful. Beautiful, I'm saying, because In beginning stages of this talk, coming from an idea to a fruit just before it was born, there were a couple of people that I spoke with, and you, Mensur, was one of the very first, where I shared my idea to share experience, knowledge, and power that we have gained over last 20 years going through life, surviving through life, and then learned how to thrive in life. Now, I'm saying that because there are probably millions of people around the world that are living away from their original motherland. And in the hard times that they might be overcoming at this moment, or this moment might be in 10 years' time when they will see this video, we don't know, they might relate a little bit warmer to what we will be talking about today, because we went through experience and stuff that we are sharing, right? So if you can, I see your bio not only on the screen in front of me, but I've known you for the last 3 years, since we have been a part of few amazing masterminds that I can say for myself. In year 2014, I wouldn't believe that that would be anywhere close or near possible happening. We shared stage with Les Brown. We have, I won't say had, because friendships are forever. We have same coach and mentor, John Tallarico, which is amazing human being. And we went through three, and another, of course, I don't want to left behind anybody, Dolly Sina. We have had amazing experience with collaboration masterminds. This is the reason as well why I would like to share. Could you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Just like you talked about, coming to the United States as a child, I knew no language. We came with the clothes pretty much on our back. I went to school while my older sister took care of us, and parents had to get a job, and never had the high-end jobs, didn't have the elite schooling. They came from a small country and into the good old United States. And yeah, we had to adapt here, and it's one of the capabilities that we have to adapt. We have the ability to learn, ability to grow. And I was always just grateful for just having an opportunity to live, and just keeping that on the far front was something that kept me moving forward. And of course, if you want to change your life, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. Nobody will come to save you, because you ultimately have to do the work to figure out who you are as an individual, and you're going to go through processes and experiences that you don't like, but that's part of it. A lot of people see the end result. You got to get to that result, and you're going to go through a journey, as I call it, of growth. Like it or not, it's going to be there, and you're just supposed to embrace it and keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Amazing, absolutely. When I'm looking down, I'm jotting down the notes, because it doesn't matter how long you study, it doesn't matter how many books you read, you can't replace personal conversation with another great mind that is striving through his life. You mentioned the very powerful word, gratitude. We are not entitled to anything. World, life, person, family, they don't owe us nothing. If we beginning every morning with gratitude in our heart, first of all, thank God, angels, spirit, Buddha, Allah, whoever you believe, that you got another day to be here. Be sure that that day you got because someone needs you, not because you need it, right? I have a tricky question for yourself, because as I promised you, I'll try to dig out something that no one did before. Thinking over the period of last 30 years since you're working on yourself, right? What you wouldn't have experienced or wouldn't have if it didn't happen to you the way it did. Because we can't say there in every single situation, there is always silver lining on a cloud, right? Every tough situation is propelling us towards something. So what would you think you gain in your life that you wouldn't have got otherwise?
I think I got everything. I have the freedom and I'm living the life and creating the life that I want. And that's one of those things. I think when you invest in yourself, you understand how the mind works. You have coaches that can bring that out of you. You can achieve anything that you want. Now, most people, they don't achieve things because they don't have the awareness, just because they don't know how to do it. And it has a lot to do, as you know, with their programming, their mindset. Well, you have to do the work, internal work, so to say, to figure out how is it that your mindset works, what motivates you, what inspires you, what are you willing to sacrifice, right? We see the end result, as I mentioned before, and a lot of people see, I want this, but it's a temporary want. A desire and a passion, something is deep within you that you're willing to go with those obstacles, and you're willing to go through those mental barriers as we have them, and that's how you overcome. And I was always fortunate that I had an open mind, and I talk about this open mind, open opportunities. you know Most people have a thought, have an idea, they want to do something, they're energized, and boom, the first thing is they have good thoughts, and then they have a negative thought, and they put it on the back burner. And when they do that, they're programming themselves to procrastinate, to have that, nothing ever works for me, this will never work, and you can't have that mentality, because you take responsibility of you, and you have to be that driving force for yourself. Because like you said, your parents, they can only support you so far, your family can support you so far, your friends will drop off. That's part of the process, because even though you lose things, you're also going to find, with your purpose, with your vision, who you need to attract to make it to your goal, to make it to your destination, to make it to your dream.
There's so much good stuff in what you just said in the last minute. And again, quote from our mentor Les Brown came to my head. Success is like a ride on an elevator. When it goes up, eventually almost everybody will get off, because no one sees your vision. Not so many people will end up with you at the very top. And that is also one of the reasons why why there's not so many people in the top and the place is vacant, because not so many people will keep up through hardships, through failures, through dark times, through times when you see almost no support, or in some cases with some people, no support at all. That's when the champion's mind is really not born, but tried, tested, developed. Because every single person on this planet can say, I want Mercedes, I want this house, I want that money, I want this holiday, I don't want to work in my life, I want to live laptop lifestyle and live on a beach. Yes, you can, but you still have to work for it. If there's no action, there's only wishful thinking.
And I love how you said that. When you go through those mental barriers, I say people evolve. And the reason I say that is, you have something called perception, and we all have it. These barriers that we encounter, it might be hard for you, but it might not be hard for an expert, or it might not be hard for a colleague or a friend. But that's what makes us humans, having that capability that, we can talk to people, we can keep that open mind and get insight, we can learn, and we have the ability to adapt. And that's when you break those mental barriers, or you figure out that problem. I always say, people, you've evolved your mental status, because now you can get a little bit farther than you did before, but again, you got to keep that momentum up, and you got to keep going, because when you're working towards a big goal, a big dream, you have to understand that there are things that are going to be coming your way, and that's just part of the process. And it's not something that you take personally. It's part of that the experience phase that, you got to sometimes take it with a little grain of salt. But long as you keep one foot in front of the other, long as you stay positive and having that gratitude, it will make a huge difference on the outlook and the result that you get.
Absolutely. Even tomatoes taste better with a bit of a salt on it, don't they?
They do.
Now, I know we are summing up our experiences and our journey into few words as we can, but let's take into consideration, Mensur, if we can. We have an audience at the moment that are only at the beginning stage of their self-development journey, okay? I'll split this into two-way question. First of all, where and how would you start? And I would like to then elaborate a little bit about investing part, because generally most people think that financial investment into themselves is the biggest investment that they will make. That's most further from the truth that you can imagine. The financial part into yourself is the smallest part of your investment. So let's start with the first part of the double question. We have an audience that are just beginning on a self-development journey. Try to get it to your beginnings, because obviously 20 years ago when we started with self-development, we were not able to afford coaches that we have now that cost x tens of thousands a year to mentor us onto a higher awareness and skill set. So how did you start?
I started with, just listening to YouTube out there, right? And I started doing homework on me, and I was fortunate enough to understand how I was wired. What is it that I really wanted out of life? And that's something that when you understand what it is that you really want, you program yourself to look to that, and I started looking at YouTube and everybody out there like Les Brown, Tony Robbins and all the high motivational speakers. And I'm like, I want to be that guy. And I never let a doubt come into my mind where I can't. But I also looked at myself, and if you keep your mind real calm, it will come to you. And what is it that I need to do to become one of those people? What is it that I have to do? What work do I have to put in? And that's when a lot of training came in with working with coaches, in our local community, going to a Toastmaster or going to an event and being able to network with people and saying, hey, this is what I want to do. And, sometimes you're going to come, where people will kind of brush you off, put you aside, but that doesn't mean you stop. That means you find and you create another opportunity. And of course, practice. A lot of people don't see that, I practiced in front of the mirror, hey, I have to know my quotes. I have to know my audience. I have to be strategic. There has to be a purpose of my speech. And all of that stuff, you don't have to know everything from the get-go when you're working on your goal and dream. You kind of pick up the pieces as you go. And the biggest part is just starting. That means having that mental picture, sitting down in a calm place and asking yourself, what kind of life do you really want? Get emotionally involved of what kind of life do you want. And when you have that end result of who or what you want to become, it activates that reticular activating system, as so to say, and we start looking for things that are going to get us there, because that's how we're built. That's how we're programmed. As Bob Proctor said, we're goal-seeking organisms, and the things that we start putting in our mind on what we're working on, what we're practicing, how we're programming ourselves, that's what we're going to look for.
Absolutely. I love what you just said on reticular activating system, and you combined it with Bob, which is close to my heart because I work for Bob. I would compared it to, for really beginning stages of someone that might be just starting with self-development, to GPS system, right? You have to know your final destination if you want to get there. And once you set the final destination to the GPS, that means you'll set final destination into your subconscious mind. There's no other way, through rain, through snowing, through water, through wind, you will get to your final destination. Sometimes people wonder, how long is it going to take? Now, the answer is simple. We know gestation period for baby, how long is it going to take, because we have experienced that. It's approximately 280 days, right? For carrot, it's about 7 weeks. But for dream that you have planted into your subconscious mind, there isn't known gestation period. because it hasn't been planted before. Now, there might be people that have similar dream and goal that you have, but there is no one else in this planet that is you. You are the only one. So that will depend on how strong your mindset will become through your study, how much you will devote yourself to goal through desire and feeling by attracting, not only working for it, because we are living in a quantum field of energy, so we attract energy to us. That will depend on your a level of awareness. That's the only thing that we're gaining through studying other people, awareness to see what they understood through their lifetime. I just got an idea, if you don't mind, because some people might think that these guys are talking here through the books or something. I just thought about something. I remembered my first self-development book, Awaken the Giant Within. And I put a date in there, October 2005. That's 17 years back. When I opened Tony's book, I didn't understand a word what this man was saying, right? But when I found a video, I loved the energy and the enthusiasm coming out of it. Where I'm heading with this is, because original part of the idea of the Way Shower talks was that I was a foreigner living in foreign country. There's millions of people coming into America living their American dream, right? But they have to learn English. I spoke with Marcin on Saturday. He came to America with zero English. Yourself, our next guest, will be in the similar position. Desire is that what will bring you closer to your dream, no matter what you have to go through, whatever it takes. As you mentioned that you had to learn quotes and speaking on a camera. Yesterday, I went through my phone and I've seen my first videos from 3 years ago. If you would told me 3 years ago that I will be doing live my talk shows and having my own guests, I would tell you that you're crazy. And I was a pretty positive person. So that is showing you guys, whoever you're watching, if you are hiding at the back of the room because you think that you don't look too good, you don't speak well enough, you think that you don't have talent or you don't have any special gift, you're wrong in every single part of this. Absolutely, because if you believe in God only 5%, or you could call that power however you want. This is my personal opinion, and I really believe to that. He created us, or the power have created us equally, every single one of us. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter what kind of family or background you came. You can have whatever you put your mind towards. You have to desire it. You have to live for it. Vibration and attraction and feeling is the most important that will bring you there. I could talk for hours, but you are my guest on this talk, so I would love to drain and dig out as much information from you as possible, because the community that you represent is very huge. Although your background, you were born in Bosnia, but there are millions of people around the world. So we can actually double the size of the country by audience. I hope I'm not lowering the number.
I wanna touch base on what you said. The ability to believe in our mental faculties, that's something that's developed through the process. So those people that have the negative doubt, that think they can't do it, or they don't have the funds, you don't have to have anything to start. You see, everything starts in the mind. Everything else will attract itself as you go through that process, and just being able to stay calm. And that's one of those things, when you talked about the GPS and the destination, I always think of an airplane, just like you said. You don't go in a straight line, even though we see it on TV going like that. That's not quite, how it goes. And, sometimes there's a little wind, there's a little turbulence, but again, it's that process that follows. And when you sync your emotions, your feelings, your mind, keeping calm and having that visual picture of the end result, you'll know exactly what is needed. And that passion, that desire that's within you, it's within you. And, whoever you believe in and whatever you believe in, we have the ability to create. Everything that you can see in the world, no matter where you're at, somebody had it imagined in their mind and they put it in fruition. And guess what? Now we have it available. And at some given point in time, they kept saying the world's a big place, but it's getting smaller because of all the technology advances, such as you and I having this meeting right now. You can do incredible things long as you open that mind up and start doing and taking action on things you haven't done before to get you towards that goal, and always keep that goal in mind.
Absolutely. As we think in pictures, imagination is the first part of our mind where it has to start. I just flew in my imagination back to days where I was filling out paper reports when I was working for W. Clement Stone's company, and here we talk online through cameras. I know we both look young, but we are the last generation that remember paper age and are in a digital age as well. I wanted to touch on what you said and compare it to probably both of our experiences, because for sure there will be a lot of hard times during self-development process, right? When I was first introduced to my mentor, Bob Proctor, it was in 2007, shortly after Secret came to Europe. And I was so ignorant that that man was the only person who I didn't like on the movie Secret. I loved everybody else. I just couldn't relate to what he was saying. I want to stress this out because what it cost me, it was 14 years. I can't put financial tag on it because it's impossible. But if you imagine 14 years waiting for something that have been presented to you, to your face, this is describing when you're ready, opportunity arrives. When your mindset is ready, you'll see more opportunities. The opportunities are here every single day. They're floating in the air. You have just to pick them, but your mindset has to be set the proper way. What was the yeah, I'm sorry.
That's absolutely right. Just like you said that, opportunities are created. They're created by you showing up, you doing the work, you creating the experience, you creating yourself, and in your current state, you're going to have to change that. You're going to have to become of who you want to become. When I practiced, motivational speaker, what all do motivational speakers do? Who do they talk to? Where do they hang out? What kind of books do they read? I had to do my research, and but that research was that part of the development, right, that I was missing. And sometimes I couldn't get things, when we see things or people doing something, it's like it doesn't make full sense to us. That's okay. At that point in time, it didn't make sense and it wasn't supposed to. But when you do that research and you start, connecting the dots within your psyche of how you think, how you're programmed, how you start evolving on those thoughts, then things start falling into place. And I always tell people, think about your journey like a puzzle. And every time you learn, you grow, you evolve, you're putting a puzzle of yourself together. And you got to be proud of that, because those puzzles at the end of the day, they're going to add up and they're going to complete a picture of exactly what you had in your mind.
Absolutely. You just can't give up in the process. I like comparing it to our years in school studying, right? You start in preschool, then you go to junior school, then you go to a higher level of schooling system. Now in America is different than in Europe, but the system is pretty much a different name, but the system is pretty much the same. Once we finish the school, we think that that's it. It's over. We're done and set for life. But we don't think that our computers are updating its software. We are changing computer every 2 years. We are changing our phone every 2 years. Why do we think that the education that we got in 90s, in 2000, or even earlier for people born on earlier stages, why do we think that it's enough for the rest of our life to go on, to live on, to thrive on? No, same thing as we are breathing every single day, we have to keep developing our mind. Even in the corporate world, right? If someone would like to compare or relate to it, at least twice a year, you are sent to some course, training program, something to update the level of your competence and your skills for your employer. Now, my question is, why wouldn't you do it voluntarily for yourself to gain more in life, to be more in your life? Because yes, we heard that many times that life is a once-off opportunity. There's no trial. This is it. We can't come back and redo it, like rewind it 20 or 30 years. So why do we act like we have another 30 to 40 years? Some people will wake up after some emotional impact that they might have. I'm one of them, because when you're dying and you realize that you might have not been here anymore, all of a sudden sense of urgency is on a high alert, and then you start doing things that you were postponing all your life. But it doesn't have to be that way. You just have to put yourself into it. So what was your biggest dream from material world? Because that's what we see at the beginning stages of setting goals, right? I want a house, I want this holiday, I want a motorbike, I want X, Y, and Z. What was your first big goal?
My first big goal was buying my parents a house, and it's something that I worked a very long time. And of course, I racked on a lot of debt for education, but I never looked at it as debt. I had to look above and beyond that. This is an investment in me. And, when I understood how the system works, you go to school, you memorize, you pass these tests. That's all great. Learning is always great, but it doesn't stop. And that's one of the things that, I was fortunate enough, I work in a corporate company, and the reason I got to the corporate company because it was the same thing. I kept up with my training. I kept working on my resume. I kept having these mock interviews so I can strengthen myself. So I'm credible. When I go in there, I know how to present myself. I know how to get the job, and I applied myself. And that's a lot of it. Learning is half of it. Applying is the other half. And that kind of starts changing things for you. And I had a goal, as always, my parents always worked hard. And I remember my dad working 14, 15-hour days, working construction. At 4 years old, I go to the construction site and I see the sweat going down his face. That was the moment that I decided I will do whatever it takes to give back to these people. And the country that I come from, we're hard-headed. And there's nothing wrong with that, because hard-headedness comes with pride. And I had pride and I had honor in me. And knowing that people, died so we could live, I put that in my mind that I will do whatever it takes to get them the house. That meant a lot to me to kind of fulfill me. And when I've done that, even though I was happy temporarily, I wasn't truly happy for myself, because that was me satisfying a temporary void, so to say. And I didn't focus on me. And then I had to pull myself back and say, hey, there has to be a bigger passion within me, something out there that I want for me, because not everybody will understand. Not everybody will see that picture nor believe in you, but that's okay, because it's given to you for a reason, for a purpose. And when I found out, just like I said, looking at the YouTube videos and seeing all these great speakers, especially Les Brown, I put it in my mind, I will be a motivational speaker and I will do whatever it takes. And, I had an opportunity. Thank you to John Tallarico, my coach, my mentor, for connecting me with Les Brown. And it all took an effort on my part, getting the coaching, signing up, being present on the calls and learning. And then I just started crafting myself. And let me tell you, went global, have a podcast, teach other people that success is really made up in the mind. And then we put it out into the world. And, my biggest goal is being a motivational speaker, being able to inspire people all the way around the world. And, it brings joy to me. I'm always happy, and just love seeing other people flourish.
You are living your dream, my friend, because you are speaking all over the world already. So we have to up that thing a little bit. We have to meet in person. We have to speak on the live stage. That would mean that I'll have to come back. I'll have to come to you to States at some stage. You mentioned few things that we could elaborate on. You want to give back to your parents. That invokes in me, you are pretty much as hard-headed as I am, because the roots are not too far from each other, Slovakia from Bosnia, but we are both as well empaths, right? I admire that you bought a house for your parents, because I do know how parents hard work to give to their children everything that from their perception and perspective they want for their kids. I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I know that I'll bring moon and stars down from the sky for her and give her everything I want. But you said very important thing that after accomplishing that, there doesn't have to be particular order. There has to come the realization that you just mentioned, that you have to see the goal for yourself, because that will ignite the drive, the desire for you. Because ultimately, guys, every single one of us alive have been given his imagination, his will, which both are higher mental faculties that we are the only species so far known that we have, to create our life for ourselves. And if you don't have internal drive for you, your motivation will slowly but surely fade out, because you keep satisfying everybody else around you except yourself. And remember, people that have been conditioned to take, they have no boundaries. You have to set boundaries, and you have to pick people to who you will give, but there always has to come something in return. It doesn't necessarily always have to be materialistic, but it has to be either energy or support or gratitude, or at least you see that the flow didn't stop there, right? That they are kind-hearted people and it goes further. What, I know that you mentioned that, but you didn't actually answer the question that I was giving you. What is your next step? Because we came from the background. We moved, even though very quickly, you never mentioned anything yet, but I will ask about it, about your corporate career, because it's no small. The amount is pretty large, and people that are looking, we have people that are asking, right? Okay, show me the results. Now, I can tell you guys, I don't know many people in our age that flipped over $500 million, which to my experience is pretty big achievement in such an early stage in your life. So what's the next step?
The next step is me launching my program, teaching people how to utilize what they already have, and giving them that hope, that insight, that urgency that they can create and establish everything that they want. And when I go back into thinking about the goals that I had, competing from powerlifting, the bodybuilding, just the drive that you develop during the process within yourself, it's something that's incredible, because it's coming from within you. And as you push yourself, and as you grow, and as you see yourself getting stronger, both physically and mentally, you kind of build this obsession of you just want to succeed. And I remember reading in books, and Bob Proctor, again, he talked about this, you can focus on the small goals, or you can focus on the big goals, and the focus is there. If you focus on small, you will always hit it, and you'll never be satisfied. So why not give your energy to something that's above and beyond? When I walked into the corporate world, I walked in an entry-level position, but my mind wasn't entry level. I started looking at scanning the company of where do I want to be in the next 2 years, the next 3 years, and started talking to management and started moving my way up, and, now I manage over $500 million a year for a world leading company. And, I am just honored and I am privileged. And it's one of those things that I kept sharpening my skills. I kept giving more into the company because in order to get something back, you have to give something. You see, everything reciprocates, and a lot of people just, they sit there and they think it's going to happen. You have to put in the work. I was going into the office at 6 a.m. Not everybody goes in at 6 a.m. Not everybody wants to work weekends. And, I went the distance, and, management saw that and opportunities opened up. And when those opportunities opened up, I was ready. I was molded into that next position. And, after I've done all that, I wanted it to retreat back and focus back on myself, that inner passion, that drive of, I love helping people in a global company, making sure people eat across the world. And I love being able to develop people so, they can also make income. So they can also, buy the houses, buy the cars, and live the life that they want, because every one of us has the ability to achieve anything that you want. And it starts with that belief, having that commitment, having that goal and vision. And, another thing that we didn't talk about, but we will, is surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, or individuals that will support you. Because as you know how the mind works, sometimes our thoughts get in our way. And, for you, it might have been 14 years. Some people, it's a lifetime. And I went a long time, many years thinking, that's just a dream. I can't really make that. I don't have the training. I don't have the money. And I wasn't thinking right. Money's everywhere. What are you willing to do to make the money? What are you willing to do to get uncomfortable? Because a lot of people don't. And I started attending these events and saying, okay, who can I talk to? What's one thing that I can learn? And I'd write it on my notepad. Hey, I learned this, or I have this connection. And, like I said, it becomes a puzzle that you start creating, and you're creating it for you. And that momentum will pick up, and you're going to get more emotionally involved, and you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. One keyword, you molded yourself. Very important, guys. What Mensur said, he didn't care who came at what time he left. What he cared about was his goal and his desire. Eventually, someone recognized that and adjusted Mensur to the position where he belonged. But again, Mensur molded himself. There was nothing given to him on a silver plate. The opportunities are there. We have to look for them. We don't need to care what other people think, what our colleagues are doing, what our family thinks, what whoever thinks. The only most important thing is if you know what you want and if you are willing to go and get it. Right?
Absolutely. And you have to know that, and where I come from, I've undergone a lot of criticism, because you are going to find people. They're not going to agree with you. They're not going to support you. And if it's people that are close to you, like family members or close friends, those can hurt, because we don't see that expectation. We don't see that perception of them, because we're trying to project of what we're like, but not everybody's the same, and they're not supposed to be. But at the same token is we have the ability to kind of pick and choose who we're going to give our energy to, who we're going to spend that energy with. And once you start understanding of who you are and doing that internal work, you're going to get wings, so to say, underneath you that, slowly you get this confidence, and it comes in. And you're right. It's going to come to a point. It's either you're with me or you're not, but I'm going to keep going. And that type of mindset will separate you from most people. And, I have 3 college degrees, and when I was asked, what drove you to get the college degrees, it was part of the system, right? I was always taught, you have to go to school, you're going to get a good paying job, but I wasn't taught you have to learn how to network. You have to learn how to negotiate. You got to be in certain places at certain times. And some of that, you don't need education for. And that's I used to go from 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd wake up real early. I'd go to school from 7 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. I used to eat in my car, but I had that vision and I had that goal. And I told myself, I will sacrifice while I'm young to create the life that I want and the life that, that I envisioned. And I wasn't afraid to do the work. And most people, they tend to tremble when the hard work comes, but you'd be surprised how much you get done when you have a full plate. And they say people that have more things to do accomplish more because they start getting programmed to start accomplishing tasks, and that's growth and potential within themselves that they're going to be expressing out into the real world.
Absolutely. That's a result-oriented mindset. You mentioned a lot of things that I'm not keeping up with. I can't follow every single pearl that you're dropping here, but I want to stress out the important thing is everybody's, it's a bad word to use. Most people are looking for secret of success. Most people are looking for this instant formula that you're going to pour into your cup, put a bit of boiling water, ta-da, I'm a millionaire. Success leaves clues. You got to choose who you follow, and success is a system. So if you like what someone else is doing, in our cases, Les Brown, Tony Robbins, John Tallarico, you have to ask, what did they do to get to the stage where they are? And you know exactly what you have to do. That's why it's important to being a follower at the beginning stages of your self-developing. Hire coaches once you can afford them, and follow their system that they've done while developing your own. It doesn't mean copying someone 100%, but there's a lot of knowledge and experience in coaches and mentors that you don't have to go through yourself because they did that already. This is where the gem in pancake is, right? You can buy the knowledge from your coach and mentor, and you save yourself 5, 10, or 15 years. I forgot about one thing, Mensur, and we're almost coming to the end of our hour. I forgot about, which I'm truly sorry, about our Facebook audience, right? Because I was focusing on Instagram and I didn't see Facebook in here. I hope there's still someone. Dolly Sina is replying, I feel so lucky to catch you and some amazing leaders live. We are grateful to having you. Craig Sotkowski was with us, another amazing human being with Eastern European roots. That's another soul that doesn't know how to give up, right? We weren't built that way. And if you want to achieve anything in your life, as Mensur said, there's no other way, just go and get it. Yeah, I love that, Craig, the Bosnian warrior. Yeah.
Craig he's one of a kind. Love the guy to death. Helped me out tremendously. And that's one of the things, when you talked about surround yourself with these people that uplift you. And, Tony Robbins talks about something called proximity. Who is it that you put yourself in? Who's in your circle? And, I've talked to Dolly before and, gained a lot of insight from her experience and the knowledge that she has. And it's one of the things that I started mapping myself, and just like you said, all of these motivational speakers or whoever you want to become, they created their journey through their process. And even though you know what they've done or the steps that they took, your journey, don't be surprised if it's different. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you look at that, they've achieved that same result. You see, sometimes you might not follow the same path, or it might not take you the same amount of time, as you said before, but you're going to reach that destination. And, just like you look at football players, soccer players, rugby players, look at the sports. You have people all the way around the world and they meet up at the same court. They play the same sport, different life, different journey. They all had a goal in mind. They all had persistency, within themselves. They had that picture. They had that mindset, quit. And I guarantee you that they have to make to get where they're at, but they're living the life that they actually want.
Absolutely. And important thing about it is through what you have mentioned a couple of times in the last hour, no one came to them and gave them the position just because of their blue or brown eyes, just because of their background. They had to work their ass off. So if you want to achieve any significant dream or goal in your life, you have to put in work. If you want to have it easier, you should hire a mentor or speaker or coach, depend where your career, your desire is heading. I would like you mentioned your website, where people can find you to seek for advice from you.
I'm on all social media, Mensur Pudic, my website, simply-motivated.com. That's where I'm at. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. If you have questions here, you can feel free to send those questions here. And, I do my best, more than willing, to help you and peel some things within you that you probably didn't know that they were there, and get you going. We got to act with urgency. Time is limited, and it's one thing that we can't buy. And the older and wiser I get, the more I understand how important time really is. And sometimes when I look back in my younger days, maybe partying late at night wasn't the best call. Maybe I should have hit the ground running then, but it was all part of the process to get me where I'm at today. So
I agree with you on that one. As we're coming to the end of the hour, and I know that you're a pretty busy man, I really appreciate the hour that you gave us and our audience. Guys, remember that the richest place on this earth is graveyard, because there lies the biggest amount of unfulfilled dreams, desires, goals that people set, but they never had the courage to pursue them. So if you don't want to belong to that group, I don't care if you're drawing, if you're singing, if you're baking, if you're cooking, if you're a coach, if you're a bus driver. Once you put your heart into your goal and desire and you start following your own dreams, not what somebody else tells you, but what you desire, you can achieve them. Go get them, because you are worth it and you have only one shot in this life. I would like to thank you from my heart, Mensur, to being with us for the last hour. As Mensur said, you'll find us both on social medias. These days, it's more easy to find person on Facebook than to be looking for a web page, but sure, information from both of us are there. From my side, I wish you all the success in the world, and I wish you act right now and don't wait any other day.
Joe, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much to your audience. Like Joe says, it's time to act, take action now, and you will change and create what it is that you actually desire and want.
Right. Let's go get it. Thanks a lot, Mensur. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you.